we obviously looked at calculating cash received from debtors. We also looked at payments to creditors, and we're now ready to prepare the actual cash budget. Now, again, guys, just a reminder, focus more on the calculation because that's what you will be tested on as far as your exams are concerned. Not the entire cash budget like you did in grade 11, more on certain aspects of the cash budget. Right, so we're going to start off with cash receipts, and very, very easy for us to fill in cash sales for the month of March. So if I go to my info, nothing for me to calculate. So if you look at March 2020, my budgeted cash sales is given to me as 19,600. So all I'm doing is filling in the 19,600, and I'm assuming that would just be 1 mark. Then receipts from debtors is what we calculated earlier on. So remember, the amount expected to be collected from debtors, what this calculation here, guys, that is the amount that we're now taking through to our cash budget. So we are expecting to receive 63,640, and that would definitely be a method mark in the event of you getting the answer incorrect. So just take note of that. Right, cash sales, cash receipts, or receipts from debtors completed. Let's now look at cash purchase of stock, payments to creditors, and then obviously we will tackle the rest of the information. So your cash purchase of stock, so remember, we're obviously looking at the month of March. So if we go back to our information, purchase of trading stock, let's just change the color of the pen so that it helps you guys. So in the month of March, my total purchase of stock is 25,000. And remember, my cash purchase is 25%, the info that I read earlier. So if we multiply that by 25%, my cash purchase of stock for the month of March, 25,000 times 25% is an amount of 6,250. Okay, so let's take that through to our cash budget. So remember, cash purchase of stock, try and show your calculation in brackets. So all we did was we took the 25,000 times 25%, and that obviously gave us the 6,250, and that should have been really straightforward to get those 2 marks. Then payments to creditors, a calculation that we did earlier on. So remember, 1.2 is our payments to creditors for the month of March. So we're going to be paying our creditors an amount of 33,750. So obviously there's no discount that we will receive, unfortunately. So you're simply taking that amount that you are paying, and I'm assuming again that would be a method mark. Okay. Right, that done and dusted. Now we're ready to tackle the rest of the information. Okay, so I'm now looking at, let's start off by looking at information 2, because we clearly did not look at that info. So remember, information 1 is sorted, so I'm just going to cross that out. Every month, the owner withdraws cash and stock from the business. The stock value amounts to 2,000 Rand and represents 25% of his total withdrawals, in other words, cash and stock. Now, remember what I said earlier on, mindsetters. The focus is how much of cash is he taking out of the business. So let's assume his total, not assuming, guys, his total that he takes is obviously 100%. From the info given, 25% represents stock, and that figure is given to me as 2,000 Rand. The balance, 75%, is the cash, and clearly this figure is not given. So in order for me to calculate the cash that he has taken, all I'm doing is I'm using the 2,000 times I want the cash amount. So I want 75% divided by I am given the 25%. Okay, so often you guys call this formula what I want divided by what I have. I want the cash divided by I have the stock figure. Okay, so the amount 2,000 times 75 divided by 25, and that gives us an amount of 6,000. So that is the amount of cash that he withdraws every month. So as you can see, not a difficult calculation once again. Right, so clearly that is a payment. Money is leaving the bank account. So drawings, okay, and you can write down cash because that's what you're focusing on. Again, show the calculation in brackets, the calculation that I did on the previous slide, and the amount of cash he is taking from the business, an amount of 6,000 Rand. Okay, so once again, that would probably be 2 marks. Remember guys, in the event of you getting the answer incorrect, we look at your calculations to try and give you a part mark, at least 1 mark. Right, so information 2 sorted. Right, so as you can see, I'm just crossing that out so that we know that is sorted. We tackle that info. Right, information 3 stock was also sorted. So I want to get rid of that as well. Let's now look at information 4. Interest on fixed deposit amounts to 4,800 Rand per year and is received every 6 months on the 1st of March and on the 1st of September. Right, so once again, remember, the focus is on what are you expecting to receive in the budgeted month of March. So in March, right, you're going to be receiving half the interest for the year, interest for 6 months. So remember, the total interest, 4,800, right, that's my total interest for the entire year. I need to obviously divide that by 2. So 4,800 divided by 2, no need for a calculator. I am expecting to receive 2,400 Rand in the month of March. Right, so under cash receipts, interest on fixed deposit, and the interest you expecting to receive an amount of 2,400. Okay. Right, so let's move on. Interest sorted. Let's now look at information 5. Operating expenses amount to 21,000 and are paid by check. Nothing for me to calculate. So clearly this is a monthly payment. Right, so if I go to the month of March, operating expenses, so your operating expenses that you are planning to pay, or operating expenses paid, for the month of March, an amount of 21,000, and that would probably be 1 mark because there's obviously no calculation. Right, so that's sorted. We are now looking at, it should be information number 6. Total salaries amounts to 24,000 Rand per month. During March 2020, the 4 employees will also receive a bonus of 80% of their monthly salary. Right, so remember guys, we've got 4 workers and the total salary, not the salary earned by each worker, but rather the total salary for our 4 workers is 24,000. So I've got 24,000 and they're going to receive a bonus. Okay, so that bonus is 80% of their monthly salary. Now, no need for you to calculate the monthly salary. All I need to do is take the total earned by my 4 workers, which is 24,000. Let's get the calculator out. So 24,000 times 80%, and their bonus should be 19,200. Remember guys, even if you took the 24,000, okay, and you divided it by 4, okay, each worker gets 80% as a bonus, so 4,800 times 4, I am still getting the 19,200. So whichever method you chose, you will still get the correct amount. Right, so the total as far as the March salary is concerned will be 24,000 plus 19,200. So I've already got the 19,200 plus 24,000, and the payment from the business's bank account 43,200, and that's in respect of salary. Okay, so under payments, right, salary, you can write down salary and bonus separately, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to combine the two, and in total 43,200. So let me just fill that in, 43,200. Okay, we still have a bit of time, so it seems as if we're going to get through all these calculations, but I'm hoping that a lot of this is making sense. Remember guys, sometimes in the cash budget, they will make you work backwards, so please be prepared to do that. So they might ask you what percentage was the bonus after giving you this figure. Okay, so just make sure that you practice those examples as well. Right, salary sorted. Our next bit of information deals with rent. So again, I just want to cross that out so we know that we've covered that. We are now looking at information 7. The rent income for the previous financial year, 28th Feb 2020, was 36,000. So remember, the previous financial year, obviously 12 months of rent was 36,000. On the 1st of March 2020, the rent will increase by 15%. Okay, so very, very important, guys. Don't simply add on 15%, because remember, you've got to first take the 36,000 and I need to firstly divide it by 12 to work out what is the monthly rent received. So let's just break this down into steps, right? So 36,000 divided by 12, and that should give us 3,000 Rand. And now that we've got the monthly rent, I hope you guys can see that, it looks clear. So 3,000 Rand, we're now adding the 15%. So all you've got to do is multiply that by 100 plus 15, 115%. Okay, so if we do that, let's get our calculator out. So 3,000 times 115 divided by 100, 115%, right? So my new rent, an amount of 3,450, and that is what I am expecting to receive from the tenant in the month of March. Okay, so if we go to March, right, our cash budget, so rent received, and an amount of 3,450. And once again, guys, I've shown the calculation on the previous page, but get into the habit of showing your calculation in brackets. Okay, now at this point, I actually want to just quickly stop, and I want to quickly show you guys how would you calculate the increase in rent. Let's assume the 3,450 was given to you already. How would you calculate that the rent increased by 15%? Right, I know I'm slightly deviating from the question, but this is important because it always appears in the exam. So let's assume the 15% was not given to you, and they're now asking you calculate the percentage increase in rent for the month of March. Okay, so all we're doing, guys, is we simply taking the new rent, 3,450, minus the old monthly rent, which we obviously calculated as 3,000 Rand. Remember, the old rent, total rent divided by 12, an amount of 3,000. Okay, so if we minus that by 3,000, we will get the increase in rent. In this case, 450 Rand. You will then divide this by the old rent, which is an amount of 3,000, and finally multiply your answer I don't have space here, but you're going to multiply it by 100, and that should give you the 15%. So why am I doing this? Because it often appears in your exam. Right, so I'm taking the new rent, 3,450 minus 3,000. Okay, so clearly that's giving me 450 divided by 3,000, right, times 100, because I want my answer as a percentage. As you can see, let's just get the calculator out quickly. As you can see, the percentage is 15%. So in the event of them asking you to work backwards. Okay, right, we've got just under 4 minutes left, so let's see if we can tackle the rest of the information. Right, so let's just quickly scroll down. Right, we're now looking at information 8, which deals with the vehicle. Depreciation on vehicles is 7,800 Rand per month. So immediately, guys, depreciation, non-cash item. Cross it out immediately because I do not show non-cash items in the cash budget. Remember, my vehicle is losing value, but this money is not coming out of my bank account. So if you show depreciation in the cash budget, I'm afraid it's going to be -1. Negative marking, you're going to be penalized. So depreciation, cross that out immediately. Right, this is after allowing for an additional vehicle purchased on credit on the 1st of January for 96,000. The vehicle is being paid off in 12 equal monthly installments. So again, remember, cash budget, what is the physical cash leaving your bank account? You bought a vehicle on credit for 96,000. So remember, 96,000, this money hasn't left your bank account. However, the installment is what you need to now show in your cash budget. So 96,000 divided by 12, our monthly installments, let's get the calculator out. So 96,000 divided by 12, and our monthly installments is 8,000. Clearly, we're going to be making that monthly installments for an entire year, for 12 months. So in the month of March, okay, there's going to be a payment from our bank account of 8,000, and this is for the vehicle installment. Okay, right, shouldn't have been too difficult. Right, let's see if we can do one final transaction. And then I don't think we're going to have time to do the rest of the questions. So information number 9, during March, the owner will contribute additional capital in the form of 40,000 cash and equipment to the value of 17,000. So once again, guys, the key is on the cash that the business is going to receive. Remember, you're going to be receiving equipment, but remember, that is not physical cash that is going into your bank account. So the focus is on the actual cash in the form of capital, an amount of 40,000 that the business is going to receive. So that 40,000 goes into our cash budget under cash receipts. Okay, so we've got 40,000, and this is obviously our capital. Right, we've got just under 30 seconds left, so we're probably not going to be able to do the last transaction. But for the last transaction, guys, I'm not worried about number 10. I'm focusing on number 11. Here we're dealing with an asset disposal. So as you can see, the cost price of the asset is given. Total depreciation, accumulated depreciation is given, and you are told the business will make a loss of 300 Rand. So the key is calculate the selling price, because that's what goes into your cash budget. Right, I'm afraid we've run out of time, so clearly we were not able to complete the question, but I think we've covered a lot in this lesson. We looked at concepts, we looked at some important calculations, we looked at working backwards. So guys, please remember, try and practice these because they definitely will appear in your exam.